Hello, Room 19. I'm excited to continue with Blood on the River, our history/language arts lessons novel. We are now on chapter 4. Travel south until butter melts, then turn right. Old British mariner's axiom, how to get to the New World. February 1607. My soul nearly left my body last night. I felt it, slippery and shimmery inside the shell of my body, trying to slide out through the top of my head. But Reverend Hunt came and laid his hands on my brow to keep my soul from leaving, and prayed for me to recover. And so today my fever is broken, and I am still in my body, still aboard the Susan Constant, bound for the New World. We are finally sailing. I felt the speed of the ship under me. We have left England's waters and we're heading south toward the Canary Islands off the coast of Africa. Captain Newport says our route will be like a big circle, following the winds and currents. We'll sail south to the Canaries, then west to the West Indies, and then north to Virginia, to go back to England. If I ever do, we will sail still farther north, and then east to England to finish the circle. Captain Newport says the fevers gripped us because we stayed so long in the fog and cold of England's winter. Now it's warmer every day. If my soul had gone out of my body, I'd have left the rolling of the ship, the stench in the closed-up 'tween deck, the rats that sometimes scuttle over my face in the night. I'd have left this living shoulder to shoulder with a crowd of gentlemen, each of them thinking he's better than the rest, and all of them thinking they are much better than I. But I'd also have left the chance to see the island, and beyond them, Virginia. I'd have left the chance to dig for gold. So if it hadn't been for Reverend Hunt and his big, meaty, soul-blocking hands last night, I would have joined my mother in heaven or my father in hell and missed the whole exciting adventure of it. I pull on my slops and tie them at my knees and my waist. I'm so skinny now, and they nearly fall off of me. How long was I ill? 10 days? 2 weeks? I wobble on unsteady legs. Air, that's what I need. Fresh air. Someone throws open the hatch. This is my chance. I pick up a slop bucket, my ticket to the ship's deck. I start up the ladder, carrying the slop bucket carefully. I glance down into it. Human waste and vomit sloshing together. Bad idea. I feel woozy, almost lose my balance. Look up, I tell myself, and I do. And in a moment, my head is out of the hatch opening, and I'm looking at a violet blue sky with wispy pink clouds, sunrise at sea. Look at what the cat dragged in, a sailor calls. He's pulling on a thick line and looking down at me from the foredeck. Haven't seen this one in weeks. Thought maybe he'd died. Stinks bad enough down there, says another sailor. Could be a few dead ones lying behind the old ale barrels, and no one would ever know. The sailors laugh, but I don't care. I stand, breathing in the clear, fresh air. I go to the railing, throw the contents of the bucket overboard, and then stop in utter astonishment. I stare, unbelieving. The ocean, which just a few weeks ago in England was its usual black-green, has completely changed. I am looking at an ocean so clear and so blue that when a long silverfish comes to inspect what I have just tossed in, I can see the yellow stripes on his back. I linger, feeling the wind on my face. The sails are bellied out orange gold in the early morning sunlight. I feel very glad that I did not leave this adventure last night. Below with you now, a sailor yells to me, "You'll be getting underfoot up here." I want to tell him I'm waiting for my mess pot for the servants, the one that James and Richard and I share with the two men who serve Master Wingfield. But I'm not sure I can make it down the ladder with the heavy pot of oatmeal. I'll wait until I'm stronger before I do that chore. Captain Newport comes strutting towards me. He has a scowl on his face, and I'm afraid he's about to whip me for loitering on deck. I scramble down the ladder, bucket in hand. Loitering means waiting around in an area that you shouldn't be waiting around in. Captain Newport follows me. He swings down the ladder easily, even with only one arm. I head to a dark corner of the 'tween deck, hoping he won't see me. But it's not me he's after. Smith, Captain Newport's baritone voice, fills the 'tween deck. Two burly sailors come down the ladder and stand on either side of him. "Sir," Captain Smith responds, and stands straight and strong. Captain Newport looks angry, though I'm not sure it's Captain Smith he's angry with. "By my authority as captain of this fleet, I hereby place you under arrest." Captain Smith frowns. "On what charges?" he demands. He stares right at Master Wingfield as he says it. So I suspect he knows who has accused him of a crime. Captain Newport glances at Master Wingfield with a look of disgust. "I will present the charges," says Master Wingfield. Somehow, despite the fact that we've been at sea for nearly 2 months, his silk doublet and velvet breeches still look relatively fresh. "You are under arrest for intent to overthrow the government of this mission, murder the council members, and make yourself ruler." My mouth drops open. "Wingfield, you are a liar," Captain Smith growls. "And you, sir, will be hanged when we reach the West Indies," Master Wingfield says coldly. Captain Smith sputters, but no words come to him. His face and neck are red as fire. He reels back. I see his fist ball up. He's about to throw a punch. Yes, I want to shout, "Smash his face in." This will be even better than watching boys or drunken sailors slug it out. I want to see blood splurt out of Master Wingfield's high-ranking nose. But in the split second before Captain Smith lets loose with his fist, as if something reins him in. He hunches his shoulders, opens and closes his hands, takes a deep breath. Then he turns to Captain Newport and speaks almost calmly. "Captain, do you believe these charges which have been brought against me?" he asked. Captain Newport looked startled, as if he didn't expect it. "This question, I cannot leave a suspected traitor unshackled," he says. "And what if I accuse Master Wingfield of being a traitor?" Captain Smith asks. "After all, it was he who wanted to turn back when we were stranded all those weeks at the Downs. It is he and his gentlemen friends who want to go back to England to their comforts every time there is a storm." He says the word "gentleman" as if it is a pile of sheep dung in the kitchen, and this makes me smile. This is how they treat their signed 7-year contracts with the Virginia Company. "You have no right to accuse me," Master Wingfield shouts. "You are a commoner. You cannot level charges against your betters." "My betters?" Captain Smith raises his eyebrows. "A pig has more royal blood than you do." The sound Master Wingfield makes next is a cross between a growl and a shout. Insulting his bloodline is like throwing lye in his face. He draws his dagger and comes at Captain Smith. Lye is kind of like a poison. It's very, very, very acidic. For a moment, all is confusion. Reverend Hunt catches Master Wingfield's arm. The two sailors step between the angry men, and Captain Newport's voice booms out. Release your weapon. Let the law handle this. Then he orders the sailors. Nelson Poole put Smith in irons. That's handcuffs, in case you didn't know. The two sailors hustle Captain Smith over to the chain bolts that stand ready, fastened to the wall of the 'tween deck, waiting to restrain a prisoner or any drunken sailor who has started a fistfight. They clamp Captain Smith's ankles and wrists into the chains. I can't believe Captain Newport is doing this. Now Master Wingfield will simply walk over and slit his throat. But when I look back at Master Wingfield, I see he is pale and shaken. He has dropped his dagger and is wiping his face with his handkerchief. Reverend Hunt has his hand on his shoulder and is talking to him quietly. Master Wingfield might be a liar, but he is no murderer. Still, I have heard the gentlemen whispering in the close quarters of the 'tween deck. It is hard to miss much. They say Captain Smith is only an ignorant commoner, and yet he wants the power of a noble. They say he will try to take over the whole mission if he is not disposed of. They say if it were not for Captain Smith insisting that they stay the course, they would be back in their comfortable homes in England by now. And I wonder how long it will be before someone else, someone who does not have the heart of a murderer, slits Captain Smith's throat while he sleeps. I wanted to talk about some of the different characters of this novel. So the main character in this novel is Samuel Collier. He is a boy, and he is of the age, I believe, 11. And he has lost his mom and dad, and he was in the orphanage. And now he is the page of Captain Smith. A page is kind of someone that's like an apprentice or learning from, but they definitely need to take orders from the person they are assigned to. The three other boys in this story are Richard, James, and Nathaniel. Richard is a page just like Samuel Collier. James is the son of one of the gentlemen. And Nathaniel, we don't know much yet, but he is on one of the other three ships. Reverend Hunt was in charge of the orphanage that Samuel Collier was at, but Reverend Hunt was also asked to go on this mission. Reverend Hunt seems to have a lot of empathy. He seems to have a great relationship with everyone else in this story, and I feel he's one of the characters that's kind of helping others with their conflicts and also helping others with their illnesses. And as we saw, Samuel Collier was sick for over a week probably, and Reverend Hunt came to his side and helped him get through that illness. In this story, we also have Captain Smith. So Captain Smith is in charge of Samuel Collier now. And Captain Smith is a commoner, but he also does seem to have some military ways in his prior past. Also, he seems to be, later on in the story, we find out that he's really good with the Native Americans and working with different people of the indigenous or the local population. Captain Newport is the number one person in charge of the three ships. So he is in charge of the Virginia Company going from England to America. So that is Captain Newport. He is in charge. Also, this man seems to be very strong. He seems to have great leadership skills. He really demands a presence. Also, he did in a prior battle lose one arm. So Captain Newport does only have one arm. We also are seeing Sir Edward Maria Wingfield. He is a gentleman in this story, And he seems to be kind of like the protagonist also in the story. He's always, sorry, not protagonist, antagonist. The antagonist is someone that is causing trouble or causing conflict in the story. The protagonist would be Reverend Hunt, who's trying to solve the different parts of the story. We have 2 discussion questions for this chapter. The first discussion question, how has the ocean changed on this journey? And that's my discussion question. And it sounds like the ocean has changed in a couple different ways. One, it was very calm seas when they were by England, and the water seemed to be very murky and dark. Since they've started their journey and now that they have found the trade winds and they have found the correct ocean currents and the boat's actually moving, it sounds like they're getting closer to the equator. It sounds like the water is starting to clear up. It's becoming more crystal clear blue, and it's starting to also get a little bit more warm out. So they are starting to travel on their adventure, and it seems like some time has passed. And some of that time was during when Samuel Coyer was not feeling well and asleep. Your discussion question is, how does Captain John Smith handle conflict? At the end of this chapter, there's a big conflict, and Captain John Smith handles it in an interesting way. How did he go about handling that conflict? 2 items that I want to talk about with the social studies in mind is trade wind and ocean current. So they are on a sailboat, and this sailboat needs to get from one location to another. And these 2 terms are 2 ways that sailboats use to help them move. A trade wind is a wind blowing steadily towards the equator from the northeast and the northern hemisphere, or the southeast in the southern hemisphere, especially at sea. 2 belts of trade winds encircle the Earth, blowing from the tropical high pressure belts to the low pressure zone at the equator. So when they sail from Europe, they take this trade wind, which kind of swoops down towards the equator, and it helps blow their ships on that. Another thing they use is the ocean current. An ocean current is a more or less permanent or continuous directed movement of the ocean. So the ocean has these currents that, if you look in this picture, you can see that there's the main sea current. It's coming from Europe down this way. They said they are going to go by the Canary Islands, then into the West Indies, then back up to North America. And they said it's a big loop because those currents continue back up all the way back to Europe. So it's kind of like a big loop. And this is where the trade winds and the ocean currents flow that help those sailors travel. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this chapter. Make sure to answer your discussion questions on Google Classroom.